The hum of activity aboard the starship was a constant presence, the sound of machinery and quiet chatter mixing with the far-off echo of the stars outside. It had been a long day, missions, updates, reports, but all that was about to change. I never imagined that a single conversation would turn my life upside down, especially not with Erin. She was a giant among her kind, standing at a towering 12 feet tall, her physique sculpted by the rigors of alien worlds and brutal environments. Her species, the Trakari, was known for their strength, their cunning, and their deadly precision in combat. Yet there was something that drew me to her, something that wasn't about her alien nature or her superiority in everything physical. It was her eyes, the way they observed everything around her, calculating, deep, almost as if she could see right through you. I first met her in the ship's observation lounge. She was leaning against the window, gazing out at the stars, her broad shoulders relaxed, but her posture alert. She exuded a calm confidence that almost felt like a challenge. I hadn't spoken to her much before, and I wasn't sure if I was just another human in her eyes, one of the many species she had crossed paths with over the years. She turned when she heard me approach, a slight flicker of acknowledgement in her eyes. "You come to watch the stars, human?" she asked in her deep, melodic voice. I smiled, trying to seem casual, though the last thing I felt was calm. "Just passing through. What about you? Been up here long?" She gave a small shrug. "Long enough to know that the stars are more than just light. They have a story to tell. Do you believe that?" I stared at her, trying to read between the lines. I'd heard about the Trakari, tall, imposing, powerful beings who never lost a fight. Everyone said they were unstoppable, that their physical prowess was unmatched. But here she was, contemplating the stars, of all things. "Maybe," I answered cautiously. "But I think the real story is in the people, the way they choose to fight, and what they choose to fight for." Her eyes narrowed slightly, and for a moment I wondered if I had said the wrong thing. But then she smiled, a small, almost imperceptible curve of her lips that held a world of mystery. "Then let's see what you've got, human," she said, with a flicker of challenge in her voice. "Tell me, how strong are you? Physically, I mean." I chuckled, feeling my nerves prickle. "Strong enough, I guess." She didn't wait for me to finish. In one fluid motion, Erin pushed herself off the window and moved toward the table in the center of the room. "Arm wrestling," she declared, "but not just a game. Let's make it interesting." The crew had gathered around without a word, drawn by the magnetic presence of Erin. I could see them watching, their eyes flickering between me and the towering alien. There was no escaping now. Erin slid into her seat, her massive hand resting on the table as she looked at me expectantly. I hesitated, glancing around the room. The atmosphere had shifted. It wasn't just about a contest anymore. It was about proving something, about testing the limits of what it meant to be human in the face of the impossible. I moved toward the table, positioning myself across from her. Her hand, larger than mine by a good margin, was already waiting. The moment my palm met hers, I felt the strength in her grip, solid as rock, unyielding. There was no doubt in my mind that I was about to lose, but I didn't care. This wasn't about winning anymore. It was about something deeper. "Ready?" Erin asked, her voice tinged with amusement. I nodded, trying to gather my resolve. The countdown began. 1, 2, 3. We both pushed against each other with everything we had. I could feel my muscles straining, my body burning with the effort. But Erin? She didn't even flinch. Her hand remained immovable, as if she wasn't even trying. "Come on, human," she teased, her voice light but full of challenge. "I thought you said you were strong." I gritted my teeth, pushing harder, but the truth became undeniable. I wasn't going to win. Her hand shifted ever so slightly, and with one swift motion, she slammed my hand down onto the table. The room erupted into applause, but I barely heard it. All I could think about was the strength that Erin possessed, strength I could never hope to match. But there was something more in her eyes now. It wasn't just victory she was after. It was something else entirely. "You know," she said softly, leaning back in her seat, her eyes studying me with a calculating gaze. "It's not just about strength. It's about endurance, willpower. You humans, you're resilient. I respect that." I looked up at her, a little surprised. "Respect? You respect me?" Her smile was small, but it carried a weight. "Of course, you stood your ground, even when you knew it was futile. That's more than I can say for most of the beings I've encountered." I blinked, unsure how to respond to that. But before I could say anything, Erin stood, towering over me once more. "I want a rematch," she said, her tone no longer playful but serious. I frowned. "A rematch? I just lost." She leaned in, her eyes locking onto mine with a strange intensity. "Not with your arms, human. This time, we make it personal. We make it intimate." The room fell silent again, the crew's attention now fully riveted on us. Erin wasn't just testing my physical strength. No, this was a challenge of a different kind. It was a game of mental fortitude, of psychological endurance. I couldn't help but feel a rising sense of unease mixed with curiosity. What did she mean by that? Her voice lowered, sending a shiver down my spine. "A game of trust. A game where you prove you can endure more than just the physical." And in that moment, I realized what she was saying. This wasn't just about strength. This was about mental toughness. It was about showing that I could endure whatever Erin threw at me, whatever she wanted to test me with. I stood, taking a deep breath. My heart was racing now, my thoughts scattered, but I wasn't going to back down. Not now. Not after everything I'd been through. "All right," I said, my voice steady despite the pounding in my chest. "Let's see what you've got." Erin's smile widened, a dangerous glint in her eye. "Oh, you're going to wish you never asked that, human." Her hand moved toward mine, but this time the game was different. This time, it wasn't about winning. It was about survival. I had no idea what I had just agreed to, but one thing was clear. I was about to face the greatest challenge of my life, and I was ready.